Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. Before we get going this evening, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Iroquois Mi'kmaq First Nations peoples, and as a community, we recognize the ever-present systemic inequities that stem directly from past wrongdoings, and we commit ourselves indefinitely to respecting and reconciling this long history of injustice. And now we'll proceed with our agenda for this evening. I'm going to go ahead and share that with folks. So now we have the agenda up for this evening. At this time, I will be looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda. I see the president.
Oh, I would like to move a motion to approve today's agenda.
Thank you, Tulu. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by our VPACs. Tolu, would you like to speak to tonight's agenda?
No, thank you, Chair.
Would anyone like to speak to tonight's agenda? So any amendments for the agenda this evening? Seeing none, we will move to a vote using the polling function. All in favor of approval of tonight's agenda, all opposed, those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried, so tonight's agenda has been approved. And now we'll move on to the next point on the agenda, which is the CRO report of the 2021 winter semester elections. And for that, we will welcome the CRO, Chanel. In order to have her present, council will have to extend speaking rights to her. So can I get a motion for that, please? I see the first year representative, Adam.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the CRO, Ms. Briggs, has speaking rights for this number on the agenda.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by the business rep, Sam McLean. Adam, would you like to speak to that motion?
No, thank you, Chair.
Would anyone like to speak to that motion? Seeing no one, we will again move to a vote. All in favor of extending speaking rights to the CRO? All opposed, and those who wish to abstain. And that motion has carried. So I will invite Chanel to the floor to give us a presentation on the election results.
Hi, Ashley, can you share my document, please? I sent it to you.
Yep, you have screen sharing ability. Would you prefer that I do it?
Oh, no, I can do it. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Alrighty. So the nomination period started on February 1st and ended on February 12th. The campaign period started from February 13th to March 8th. The candidates debate was on March 4th and it was held via Zoom. The voting days were from 8 a.m. on March 9th to 9 p.m. on March 10th, We announced the unofficial results at the Fox or Crow at 9:30 p.m. For the spring election, we had 14 candidates on the ballot and 15 in total. One candidate running dropped out prior to the election. The candidates, we had one for president, Samantha, one for VPAC, Anaga M, 4 for VPSL, Nathan, Sarah, Mai, and Jedediah, 2 for science rep, Riley C. and Anya, 1 for health and wellness rep, Riley M. Ashmita, 2 for international rep, ethics Irani Murdad, 1 for arts, Brianna O, 1 for Senate, Adam M. The missing candidates for these positions was business rep, nursing rep, engineering, math and computer science, nursing rep, math and computational science rep, veterinary medicine, education, board of governors, graduate, residents, ombudsperson, indigenous rep. Alrighty, so for the qualitative results for the election, in round 1, Samantha McCain had 431 votes, so she was elected. In total, there was 582 votes and 151 votes to abstain. For our representative, Brianna got 96 votes, so she got elected. So in total, there was 135 votes and 39 abstained. For international student representative, Ethics Irani got 86 votes and Murdoch got 73 votes. So Ethics Irani got elected with a total of 222 total votes and 63 abstained. For Vice President of Academic and External, Anaga got 449 votes. So Anaga was elected. There was a total of 582 votes and 133 abstained. For Health and Wellness Representative, Riley McKay got 300 votes. Ashmita got 161 votes. So Riley McKay got elected. There was a total of 582 votes, 121 abstained. For Science Representative, Riley Chappell got 105 votes and Anaya got 75 votes. So Riley Chappell got elected and Anya because of the rank system. So there's a total of 210 votes and 30 abstain. For Senate Representative, Adam McKenzie got 421 votes, so he got elected. And there was a total of 582 votes and 161 abstained. The Vice President of Student Life, Nathan got 165 votes. Sierra got 160 votes. Mai got 103 votes. Jedediah got 100 votes. So Jedediah was eliminated due to the lowest first preference. In round 2, Nathan got 109 votes. Sierra got 191 votes. And Mai got 139 votes. So Mai got elected to the Mai got eliminated due to lowest first preference. For round 3, Sierra got 269 votes. Nathan got 259 votes. So Sierra was elected due to first preference. The overall analysis of the election process. The overall election was going good this year. Most of the candidates passed in their application at the exact time. All of them submitted their posters, banners, photos, and videos for me to approve beforehand. All of the candidates emailed me right away when they had questions, concerns, or issues, and I got answers back to them as soon as possible. And as much as I am aware, Simply Voting ran successfully this year. Some of the issues were due to the online nature of the election. There was some issues trying to make the election process accessible online. Candidates mostly use social media for campaigning. Recommendations moving forward: be more clear on how to do online campaigning, find more ways to engage students online, have clear instructions for the CRO, and have ways to increase the number of candidates. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the CRO on the election results as presented? Seeing no questions for the CRO at this time, I will ask for a motion to approve the winter 2021 election results as presented. I see Tolu.
I'd like to move a motion that the winter 2021 elections be approved.
Thank you for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Malik. Tolu, would you like to speak to that motion?
I would just like to say congratulations to everyone that ran for this election. Your hard work has played off one way or the other, and I look forward to the incoming exec team and the other reps on council.
Thank you, Tolu. Would anyone else like to speak to this motion? I see Sam.
I just have a question. If we ran in this election, should we abstain from approving?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as Sam said, anyone who ran in the election, whether they were elected or not, needs to abstain during the vote for approval of the election results. Are there any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. All in favor of approval of the 2021 winter election results? If you wish to abstain, please indicate your name in the chat box so that the deputy chair can record it for our minutes. And that motion has carried. So the election results have been approved and ratified by council. Congratulations to all of the new representatives, including executives and councilors. Now, the last thing on this agenda item will be to rescind speaking rights from the CRO. Thanks for giving a great report, Chanel. This is just part of the process. Can I get a motion to rescind speaking rights from the CRO?
Thank you.
I see Malik.
Yeah, just motion to rescind speaking rights from the CRO.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Jeremy, the grad Senate representative. Malik, did you wish to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Chanel, for your report.
Would anyone else like to speak to that motion? Seeing no one, we will move to a vote. All in favor, all opposed, and those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried. Again, thank you to our CRO, Chanel, for all of her hard work. I got to work with her during the process, and she did a great job. So thanks again for all your hard work, Chanel. And you are free to leave this meeting. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is approval of the minutes from the February 28th, 2021 council meeting. Can I get a motion for approval of those minutes, please? I see Adam.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the minutes from the said meeting now be approved.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Jessica. Adam, did you want to speak to that motion?
No, thank you, Chair.
Would anyone like to speak to that motion? So are there any noted changes that should be made to the minutes? Seeing none, we will move to a vote of approval of the minutes with the reminder that if you were not present for the last council meeting, you should abstain. If you do abstain, please indicate your name in the chat box again so the deputy chair can record that for the minutes. That motion has carried, so the minutes have been approved. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which will put us into reports. The first report of the evening will be the president's report. Tolu, floor is yours, and you should be able to share screen.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ashley. Hello, everyone. Yes. First of all, like I did mention already, I do want to congratulate the incoming student union team. Thank you so much all for putting your name forward, and thank you for running along with this. It's this job, or in particular, these positions are definitely rewarding at the end. I hope you all enjoy your term and your tenure when you start by May, or the next semester by September, whenever you start in your new position. Congrats once again from the Office of the President. So today I will just be sharing a brief report on the Office of the President. A couple of things got cut out because of the red zone that was declared the previous 2 weeks, the mini lockdown and also the circuit breaker. So a lot of some things I didn't go through with some things for the week. So the report is pretty short this week also. So one of the external things that I did, I had an interview with Radio Canada concerning in-person classes and how students feel about that, and also student concerns. Also, I had an interview based off of in-person classes with Carleton University. So the school's newspaper is doing an article for universities across Canada that are planning to come back for in-person classes in the fall. So one of the journalists in the newspaper section reached out, and I did have an interview with him. On, I can't remember the day exactly, but the first week of this 2-week report. Then we also had a health and dental review with Campus Trust. So that is where we do the insurance, the student insurance, the body that takes care of the student insurance at UPEI. We did a review of the academic year usage of how students have used their insurance. And we have found out that we are technically gaining money at UPEI. So a couple of students are using this service and a couple are not. So we are not at a break-even point, but we are earning money from this. So we urge students to continually use this insurance as they are open to them and they pay for it with their fees. Also, I did have a couple of meetings with the student affairs based off of a truth and reconciliation award. So I know Brian started off this award, and we are just kind of finalizing things in this aspect. And there has just been a little tweak in a couple of places, but I am definitely getting through with student affairs to get this all done and sorted out before the end of this semester. Also, NIFT committee, we met, and we are going to give a couple of more reports in regards to the co-op fees for international students. I know this was brought up a while before I became president, but we finally had our clarifications from the co-op office, and we're going to be presenting that soon. And also as our accessibility rep did raise a concern towards EDI resources and EDI resources on council, we are bringing forward a recommendation soon in a couple of items on the agenda. We'll be doing that soon. We also had Senate meeting where we spoke about the upcoming convocation, the fall semester of 2021, and also a 5th curriculum report. I know more will be given when it is time for the Senate meeting. We did have a Mawi workshop at the Student Union, and we're honored to have the elder in residence, that's Judy Clark, and also the current Mariomi Center Coordinator, Judy Pelushla-Lush. I'm not pronouncing that right, but they did give history and reasons why, history towards the indigenous community, and also the importance of land acknowledgement on that everyone does. Why do we do it, and why it is important to do it? I also had a meeting with the Student Management Committee. So that's for the Student Union building for our budget that will be presented soon. We did an estimate we had a meeting based off of the estimate for the UPEI Student Union operations and building maintenance. I know the VP Finance and Administration will be bringing that to the table alongside the whole budget for the upcoming academic year. Some other general things that I assisted with was the International Women's Day wine and cheese setup. I assisted the bar manager and Jose in setting up for that event. Also, I attended the elections debate, which was awesome. It was so nice to hear, well, as at then, the candidates platform and how they were looking forward to doing things at the Student Union and for the students. I was also elected into RAG, that is the Research and Advisory Committee, and we had a meeting to discuss a Center for Korean and Asian Studies proposal. So I sit on that committee as a student at large, and we just heard views and we reviewed the proposal, of course. Another section I would like to mention is one of the general news that students as a whole should be aware of. Most of us would have seen it, and is the vaccination rollout on PI. The Chief Public Health Office has recommended that people between ages 18 to 29 who work in the food industry should go get tested in one of the various 6 pharmacists. I know a couple that are working in the food industry that have set their appointments. Thank you to all of you in continuing to provide a safe environment for everyone. And if you haven't done that yet and you work within the food industry, I urge you to go and do that soon. Also on Friday, the conservative government presented the budget for 2021 and 2022. I know we still have this in the agenda and more will be given on this, but I do want to say the Student Union got a couple of funds towards students for this upcoming year. And like I said, it's going to be touched on more. I'm just really excited about this. And yes, that's everything for my reports this 2 weeks. I welcome any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your report. Are there any questions for the president at this time? A final chance for any questions for the president. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again for your report, Tolu. We'll now move to the next item on our agenda for this evening, which is the VPAX's report. So Malik, floor is yours.
Thank you. I can't share my screen. I was wondering if you could share that with me. Thank you. Okay. Can someone tell me if you folks can see my report? Yes? No?
It's just a black screen so
Black.
far.
Yeah, it's just a black screen right now.
I'm not sure why. Zoom has been doing that to me a couple of times in other meetings, so just give me a sec. Okay.
I can pull it up and roll it along as you go, if that's okay with you, Malik.
Yeah, it's definitely clear with me. I don't know what's wrong with my computer.
Okay, let me do that then.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so hi everyone, happy Sunday. Here's what I did in the past couple of weeks. I attended Senate this past Friday, and I know the Senate reps are going to talk more about that in their report, but we talked about pretty interesting things, including what the fall semester might look like, what graduation might look like, and mostly we had a long conversation about the UPEI 101, 102, and 103 courses. We also had an APCC meeting, and we discussed the UPEI engineering PhD program. So the Faculty of Sustainable Design Engineering came forward with a proposal to start a PhD in engineering here at UPEI, and it was an exciting one. It's not approved yet. They're going to build more on it, but that was a pretty interesting proposal that came to APCC. Student grievances, we haven't been really busy with grievances this week. Our academic coordinator, Anaga, followed up with a student about their appeal, and the student chose not to file it because the issue had gotten resolved already. On the CASA side of things, we had the CASA board meeting. We also now have our new policy and research analyst. So I sat with the policy and research analyst and our executive director for a transition meeting just to catch up our new PRA on what FPC has been doing. We're also kind of trying to wrap things up with FPC because our last committee meeting is happening this week. So we're finishing up our financial aid policy as well as our access to childcare policy for students with dependents. And then advocacy has been pretty exciting. I'm not going to touch too much on the budget because there's an agenda item for that. But we were mentioned in the Legislative Assembly several times this week, and I wanted to highlight them since it's always great to see that the student union is mentioned in the Legislative Assembly. We were mentioned on March 3rd with regards to the moratorium on student loans. One of the opposition members asked a question to government for us about that. We were mentioned on March 10th with regards as being a great place for youth leaders in the community. That was great. All the VPAXs from I guess 4 years now were mentioned by name. That was also wonderful to see. And then we were mentioned on March 11th with regards to mental health funding. I'll talk a little bit more about that one just because I want to make sure that everyone's, I guess, aware of what's going on in that realm, because government has had a history of introducing programs and then cutting them without really informing us that they're getting cut. But in 2018, the VPACs Neighbors at that time launched a letter writing campaign that managed to secure UPEI some mental health funding. So the government every year gives the university $25 per student that specifically go towards mental health funding. And that budget line did not appear on one of the most recent budgets. So the opposition was asking if the government was planning to cut that program, to which the government basically responded no. And I did get confirmation from the in the budget lockup, which I'll talk about further on, but I got to speak to some government personnel about the budget before it came out, and they said that that was not removed, so that should still be there. And we were also mentioned for the PEI budget address. Something else that I didn't include here, but we were also mentioned when one of the Liberal MLAs, Heath McDonald, also congratulated our incoming president on her election. So congratulations, Sam. And then I attended the PEI budget lockup. I know I wrote lockdown, but that's a typo. It's the lockups. Basically, for folks who submitted a budget consultation document to the government, they were invited to see the budget before it actually came out. So we literally had to be in a lockup with other folks there. You give your phone and you're not allowed to leave until the budget is tabled in the assembly because you have it in your hand. And that was pretty good because I got to have some one-on-one time with Minister Compton and Deputy Minister Dan Campbell to ask questions about the budget. I also had an interview with The Guardian and CBC after talking about the budget. So I'm going to skip over the budget piece since it's a separate agenda item, but Sam Mitkiff, our education rep, and I had a meeting with Elections Canada because he had reached out to them about offering students more information about, the possible upcoming federal elections this year. In the past, Elections Canada has hired students for a vote on campus polling stations and has collaborated with CASA as well, which we're pretty active there too. So we just Sam wanted to make sure that there were some workshops for students to learn about the employment opportunities, but as well as voter registration, and that will be coming up hopefully soon. And then I also had a radio interview with Mitch Cormier from CBC Island Morning and Debbie Langston from the PEI Advisory Council on the Status of Women for International Women's Day. And some miscellaneous things was we followed up with Nimbus Learning on the student tutoring program. We will be participating in OTIL's flash survey, the housing survey, and I was working with the communications manager on an advertising plan for that. And I sat through the health and dental utilization report from the campus trust. And that's it from me, folks. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report. Are there any questions for the VPACs on the report? A final chance for any questions. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again for your report, Malik. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is the VPSL's report. So Jose, floor is yours.
Yep. Hi, Ashley. I'm gonna either share my screen through a Umicon or through you, like you did with Malik. Which one do you think would be easier?
I'll go ahead and give a Umicon screen sharing, and that will do hers and yours.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Share video.
Sure. Hey, can everybody see it?
Yes.
Perfect. So hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good and staying safe. I'm just letting you know that there's not a lot to report, particularly because, we had the lockdown and the circuit breaker and all of that. And since my thing is kind of events, this type of things where regulations for events change a lot and stuff like that really affects what happens and what doesn't happen, but let's go through it. So first, clubs and societies, there's some exciting things happening. I discussed with the yearbook staff the possibility of having a page or a designated set of pages dedicated for clubs and societies, just because that hasn't been a thing present in previous years. And I feel like that's weird considering that we still give a big spotlight to sports teams and stuff like that. So they said that it would probably be okay. And I sent a form out to clubs they can fill out if they want to have pictures of their executive teams be featured in the yearbook and stuff like that. And that's also a result of not a lot of stuff happening on campus in general. So the yearbook might be short on pictures, and that's another reason why we're doing this. Since I'm getting those pictures, I'm thinking about starting something in the Clubs Hub with Lena, which is kind of like a photo wall of previous club executive teams we've had, because we have that for the UPSU executives around the UPSU offices. And it would be a nice way to kind of acknowledge the hard work that clubs have put out throughout the years, what clubs have been around campus for years, etc. We just thought it would be cute. And it would be a good way for rewarding clubs for their hard work this year. Aside from that, Lena and I have been working on the mentorship and transition program. And I've been working with Mike on the club's banquet, which is scheduled to happen on April 10th. However, it really depends on what happens with COVID around those dates, but we're planning for it. Then for general events, the main important thing is that I've been working for a communications and marketing manager just to finish a kind of events and campaigns consultation survey. It's heavily based on the survey that Malak put out for kind of her role. Yumi can put it out for budget consultations. So I was meaning to put out a survey like that all the way back in the summer. I ended up not doing it because this year was going to look really different. Then in the winter break, again, I planned for it. It didn't happen. But now that things are kind of calming down and we are kind of transitioning the next team, I feel like that would be a really useful pool of data and information that the next BPSL could use to see what students want from events and campaigns, especially now that students have an idea of what a COVID year looks like in terms of events. So hopefully we're putting that survey out this week happening right now. And please share that survey around. I know that you folks did an amazing job at doing that, and that's how both Ayumiko and Mala got a lot of feedback and responses, and I'm hoping the same because that'll help our new BPSL, Sierra, a lot. So yay! So normally I make its own agenda point for reporting on events and stuff, but this time it's only International Women's Day and it's only one day, so I'm just gonna include it right now. 2 of the 4 events happened. Others got canceled because of COVID. We had the Recognizing UPEI Women contest. We had 61 applications for that. Overall, that got a lot of positive feedback and appreciation. So I thought it went really, really good. It was really nice to see people be happy to see those things. We already gave out all the gift baskets for the winners. We had an event that was going to be called Desserts and Empowering Messages. It got canceled because I was supposed to have desserts and treats from Donuts by Design and Alfajores by Andrea. And we're going to be in Macmillan Hall or the hallway in Student Center. We're going to give small bags of baked goodies to students and have them write empowering messages that will go out in the hallway. But as you know, COVID happened and it got a little bit crazy. So I discussed with the businesses and we decided to cancel those. Then we're going to have a panel to discuss politics with the previous UPSU executive, BPACs, and president. However, Sweta and Emma had some unexpected responsibilities come up and that couldn't happen either. So yeah, but then we had the wine and cheese night, which was really successful. It was fully booked. We had 45 people come. And then Anaga, who's our academic coordinator, helped me host a couple games there. It was really fun. Students did mention that they would like to see that type of event happen again. So yeah. So overall costs, it wasn't that expensive at all. And I feel like it should be kind of like a campaign-ish that the BPSL should take on every year as a tradition, similar to how we do Love and Sex Week, because International Women's Day is really important. Yeah, if you look at the kind of breakdown of the prices there, it was like 1,200-ish-esque. So around that range, 1,200, 1,300, not anything too crazy. My only future recommendations is that, well, obviously, in a future year, hopefully it'll be more stable and less COVID happening, so it'll be easier to plan around it. But I do think that we should have more educational workshops and events surrounding that day. And then that in a regular year, since this would clash with Beach Blast, the BPSL would have to find a way for the advertisement and stuff to go out evenly between both events and give both events equal priority. So for the St. Patrick events, I decided to only stick to a couple events, not all of them, just because COVID. So we're gonna have a thing where there'll be some shamrocks hidden around campus. I'll be hiding them in really freaky places. I already kind of went around and decided which those places would be. And if students can find them, they'll be able to claim a prize at the student union. We're gonna have a special bingo before trivia, hopefully. And then based on a discussion I'm having with residents, we're going to have a small game fest happening in residence, but that's tentatively, highly tentatively. Campaigns, I just did some discussions with Callie on how those were going to look for the remainder of the year, and I discussed a couple of things with the BBFA regarding Financial Literacy Week. And then I had the same things as almost everybody, so that health and dental meeting. I participated in the UPEI career fair just to answer some questions about volunteering and working with the UPISU. I continued to work with the CRO and Ashley to make sure elections went well and help her kind of look over results on simply voting. And I feel like that's everything. Yeah.
Great, thanks so much for your report, Jose. Are there any questions for the VPSL on the report? Final chance for any questions for the VPSL on his report. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again, Jose, for your great report. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is the VP Finance report. So Ayumakin, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. And okay, I'm just going to quickly share my reports for March 1st up until March 12th. The first thing is I met with the Mawiomi Center to discuss what type of financial support the UPEI can provide for them moving forward. And Julie gave us some input, some good resources, which I'll be presenting in the budget today. Also, we had the Campus Trust Finance Committee where we reviewed the RFP for Acadia University and also looked at its financial impact on the trust. Also, we had the Health and Dental Review, and we had funding committee. We met to approve the different clubs and student funding. This time we mostly had AVC applications. Also, budget committee met and we reviewed the new budget proposal, which I will be presenting later on today. I also assisted Mike with the setup for Wine and Cheese for International Women's Day. We had the VP Finance interviews, and also I'll be reporting the results for that today as well. I also looked into the systems that other schools are using for their food bank and mimicked that format for the supplies. So I came up with a potential way that we could use the supplies moving forward. We had check-in with the president, as well as continual preparation for Financial Literacy Week. I reached out to all the speakers and just making sure everything is ready to go for next week. Also had to pick up supplies with Carl, as well as updating it, so just students have something to pick up whenever they get into supply, just so it's not totally empty. For the Mental Health and Wellness Office, I had a check-in with her on the 12th of March. She also hosted a workshop with accessibility services, which was titled Self-Advocacy for Mental Health, which was held on March 4th, and they had about 6 to 7 participants, and it went really well. Also finished filming the videos with the counseling services, which will be going up the coming week. As well, working on a workshop with CMHA. This is supposed to be for alumni students, just basically talking about life after graduation, just to help them to adjust to life after graduation. And this would be happening April the 1st, and also brainstorming ideas with Jose for distress campaign. And if you have any ideas regarding distress campaign, you could always please reach out to the mental health and officers reach out to the mental health and wellness officer. And that's my report.
Great. Thank you very much for your report. Are there any questions for Yumakin on her report? Final chance for any questions. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again for your report, Yumakin. The next item on tonight's agenda is the Senate report. And for that, I will open the floor to the graduate Senate rep.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Allow me to share my screen here. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Fantastic. So as was alluded to already, we had a Senate meeting on March the 12th. There was an approval of the members who will make up the Senate Academic and Student Discipline Appeals Committee. We also approved the convocation, which will be happening in May. And it will have both in-person and online components for students who may have moved away already, because students who have graduated last year didn't get their convocation. They shouldn't feel the obligation of having to come back to the island to experience convocation, as well as an in-person component for those who are going to be graduating this year or still find themselves on the island. There was also an approval for the summer semester, which will be operating as previously outlined, which is this, for the most part the same as how the fall and the winter semesters operated, with slight, very small changes. We also approved the fall semesters formatting, which will be more in person, but will still have some hybrid components. And of course, that will also be determined by how the health and safety standards seem to be doing, as well as vaccination rollout here on Prince Edward Island and across the rest of Canada and the world. As Malik again alluded to, much of our discussion took place on one point, which was within the 5th curriculum report. It was a motion put forward to limit the number of credits that students can receive for taking the UPEI 100 level courses, or 1000 level courses. I'm used to calling them 100. So the purpose of the proposal was that there are students that are taking more than one of these courses, when there are some students that are struggling to actually find a space in the course that they require for their graduation requirement. And we were provided numbers in that 29% of students who are taking the UPEI 100 level courses are not, in fact, first year students. The group that would be the intended target for these UPEI 100 courses, which are considered preparatory courses or bridging courses, preparing you for university level work. So students, because of this, students would only be able to receive credits for one of the 3 UPEI 100, 1000 level courses. Students would still have the option to take more than one, but would only receive credits for one of those courses. That wouldn't mean that it's retroactive for current students or students that are in the process of taking more than one. They would still get credit. It would simply be from the point in which it would be approved. So I'll also note that the current course catalog, which students, you and I can see, already says that you can only receive credit for one of the courses. But in fact, the academic calendar, which is the official regulations for academic, how the system operates, does not say that, which is a very uncommon occurrence for the course catalog to be ahead of what is being proposed in Senate. And there was actually concerns brought up about that. Course catalog shouldn't lead what the academic calendar is going to be doing. And I just provided an image there, which within the stars shows what I'm referencing, that you can only receive credit for one of these courses, when in fact that's not the case currently. They're trying to make that the case. Another point that was brought up in Senate was that the professors who teach these courses weren't consulted with the possibility of the restriction of credits to only one student, to only one course, which both professors as well as some of the our student reps felt that that was concerning, that they should have been considered, or at least consulted as to what their opinion on it was. There was also concern brought up about the possibility of the next few years of students not being as prepared as others due to the various impacts that COVID-19 has had on their education, whether that be having to transition back to online, the gaps in learning to get set up between the two. There was that concern brought up, which was highlighting the need for the increased need for these courses to be available for first year students coming in. Again, and if there's currently students who aren't able to get in when they require it, then we're trying to make it so that future ones who may truly, not to dissuade any of the need of current students, but that the future ones who may be yet even more of a disadvantage have access to those courses. And finally, this was a long discussion. It was an hour and 15-minute discussion on this topic. There was concern brought up about the accreditation of transition courses, something that these UPEI 100 level courses have been regarded as, which no other preparatory or bridging courses provide, is credits towards your degree. Other examples, such as the EAP program or the math pre-calculus review tutorial, don't reward credits towards your final degree, unlike the UPEI 100 level courses. So that motion, that original motion of, and I'll even just bring it up just to be clear, the motion to limit the number of credits students can receive for taking UPEI 100 level courses was not passed. It was not voted on. Instead, a new motion was put forward with these components for it to be sent back to the APCC, the Academic Planning and Curriculum Committee, for further examination and revision, specifically into the possibility of restricting anyone other than first year students from taking the UPEI 100, 1000 level courses, unless they fit into one of two categories. They made it into their second, third, or fourth year or later without having those courses, or they've changed programs and the course that they previously took does not fulfill the requirements of their new program, such as the example that I'm familiar with is business having UPEI 101 as a specific requirement. If you took 102 or 103 and then you switched to business, you would then be required to take 101 because you didn't have it. Furthermore, as kind of a backdoor to the being limited to only get credit for one of the courses, they'd also, APCC will also look at whether we could implement a permission from the dean system to allow students to request that they be allowed to take more than one of the UPEI 100 level courses and receive credit for those, if the dean feels that it is beneficial to their own development as well. One of the other points that was brought up by the president is that if they were to require first year students to take the UPEI 100 level courses in the first year, they would also make a consideration that the university will provide as many resources as required to provide all first year students, regardless of how many there are, be able to take one of the UPEI 1000 level courses. Right now, I think others at Senate can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they said that there are 58 sections of the among the 3 UPEI 100 level courses. They are willing to make more available so that all first year students can take it at the time that they're supposed to, in order to keep the flow going. I understand that discussion point might be confusing. It was confusing at Senate as well. Again, you might be able to tell that there are multiple issues around this that are being dealt with, but that's our report for the Senate, and I'll take any questions now.
Great, thank you for your thorough description on what is definitely a complicated topic. Are there any questions for Jeremy on the Senate report? final chance for any questions. Seeing none, we will move on in our agenda. Thank you again for your report, Jeremy. The next item on the agenda for this evening is the Board of Governors report. I have noted that the Board of Governors representative is not in this meeting. Tolu, has the Board of Governors met since the last meeting?
No, we haven't.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We will then move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is point 6 of the agenda, the PEI budget address 2021-2022. I believe that is Malik's.
Yep. I was just wondering, can you please share my report again? Because I think it's still gonna give up a black screen. I didn't figure that out yet. But just like the blue portion of my report. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Just let me grab it for you. Okay, floor is yours, Malik.
Thank you. So this is incredible news. I just wanted to say that before I start. The PEI budget address was made public on the last Friday morning. And I just want to say there are huge wins in here for post-secondary students. The first one is that there was increase in funding in general for post-secondary education institutions on PEI, included our university's core operating grant and restricting funding grant and AVC. So UPEI is getting $36,045,000. The restricted funding is $6,240,900, and ABC is getting $9,249,400. Why this is important is the increase, I think, reflects inflation, which is good, but also the fact that the funding has not shrinked after a COVID year means that university is getting consistent funding, which means that they don't need to compensate for any loss of funding and higher tuition rates. So it's good news for our students. And then also, I asked the Deputy Minister, Don Campbell, on the OER funding because there was no specific reference to the OER funds in the budget address, but he said that there should be, sorry, let me mute my Facebook, that there should be $50,000 in the grants there to fund open education, the Open Education Resource Fund that's available for the program at the library. So there's $50,000 more dollars in there that are supposed to make textbooks more affordable for students through open education resources. That's also incredible. For Island students accessing the George Coles and the Island Advantage Bursary, the Island Advantage Bursary is getting $500,000 more dollars. Also incredible because this bursary serves low and middle income students going into post-secondary on the island, and it's a non-repayable grant, which is also just amazing. I'm not gonna stop saying that because it's great that we're getting all that money. Again, this is not a lot of, I'm gonna say not a lot of money, it's $500,000, but it's to reflect inflation as well. Here's something that came up exactly off of our lobby doc, and something that me and Tulu worked on in the summer, something that also me and Tulu went into for meetings last month, is a $200,000 experiential learning fund that is specifically made to enhance post-secondary experience for island students by connecting them to co-op placements. Basically, this fund is introduced to fund a program through Skills PEI in collaboration with the Experiential Learning Office on campus at UPEI to make sure that first year, and specifically first year international students, are getting co-op placements to connect them to the community earlier on. And also in the budget address, we were specifically quoted saying that at the request of the UPEI Student Union, we will also be extending student debt support until December 2021. So thank you everyone who signed letters. Thank you everyone who helped fold letters. Thank you everyone who helped stamp letters and closed envelopes. We got the provincial moratorium, and people paying student loans don't have to pay the provincial portion of student loans until September. Thank you so much, everyone. This is incredible news for all of us. The last thing that I didn't put in my report until right now, but I also want to mention, is that there was also around $310,000 being invested to help recruit nurses on the island. And I think I only read over it once, but basically for graduating nursing students, there will be around $315,000, yes, in loan forgiveness for nursing students on the island to make sure that you fill up the need for registered nurses in the PEI healthcare systems. So if you know of a student nurse, if you know of a graduated student nurse, they can get loan forgiveness if they choose to work on the island. So just huge investments into our students. And thank you so much to everyone who helped get there. Yeah.
Great. Are there any questions and or comments for the VPACs on this topic? I'm seeing lots of nice things come into the chat. So Malik, make sure you take a look at that. And if not, we will move on. The next item on tonight's agenda is about the conversation with Elections Canada. I believe that is also Malik.
Yes, I kind of already touched on that, but I also wanted to give Sam the opportunity to speak to this. But basically, I wanted to just put it on everyone's radar right now because we might be having these workshops a little bit late in the semester, so we're just worried about involvement, but we're working on creating 2 workshops for students with Elections Canada about, again, the registering to vote and working in the polls. And mostly things are going to be online this year, so it could also be like administering some of the online portion for the polls. But we're looking at a late April and a June date for these workshops, so if you can get involved, be involved, involve others to make sure that students are involved in the federal election piece. Also, just if you're engaging people from like a UPEI perspective, just highlighting that we are completely, absolutely nonpartisan. So making sure that if you reach out to anyone saying that UPISU is doing this, that it remains that. But yeah, these workshops are happening late April and June, just putting it on everyone's radar. Also, if Sam wants to speak to that, I'm not sure.
I don't believe the education representative is with us this evening.
Okay, no worries. Just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Malik. Were there any questions or comments on the election workshops? Seeing none, we will move to the next point on our agenda for this evening, which is point 8, the UPEISU budget for 2021-2022 academic year. And for that, I will open the floor to Ayumakin.
Let's quickly share my screen here. Yeah. So this is
this evening, Ayumakin, for council's information. This is the first presentation of the complete budget, meaning it will not be approved this evening. However, this is a good time to look through at some of the numbers that Ayumakin is going to be presenting. And if you have any questions or concerns, this is a good time for you to voice those before it comes at our next council meeting for approval. And now floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to be presenting the 2021/2022 budget for the UPEI Student Union. So the first thing we have on our list is the sources of cash, basically where we get money from. And the first one is the student union fees that we charge to students every year. Also, we have the Student Center Fund. We also have another line for our health plan, late opt-out. This is maybe people that don't opt out of their health and dental early. There's a fee for that. So that's where we get that $4,000 from. We also have the government funding. So the government funding that started during the COVID-19 is still lasting up until June, up until the summer of this year. So we still kind of budgeted for a little for that. This year we have no COVID-19 loan from the bank. That's why we have that empty, and other sources of revenue. So we have the uses of cash, which I would explain more in details in the coming slides. So the first one is the executive portfolios. We'll be starting with the Office of the President. First of all, we have their salary for summer and the school year. This amount increased by CPI, which is 2% every year. We also have a line for President Initiative, and this year it went down because we have another line that I'll be explaining, which is a line for All Executive Initiative. And we have the line for branding, that's for like swag or anything, just to brand the UPEI SU. We also have a line for social media boosting, as well as the pay for the graphic designer and the photographer. This year we have no website design because next for 2020-2021, we have no website design because this year we are in the process of designing our website, and we are going to make use of the $5,000 we have, and there'll be no need for allocating anyone for next year if it's already done. We also have a line for AVC orientation, graduate orientation, and education orientation, all of which are $750. We also increased the line for NSO week, hoping that NSO would be in person this year, compared to, in the coming year compared to this year. Moving on, we have the Office of the Vice President, Academic and External. The first part is the salary, which increased by CPI, and we have Cancer Conference. We don't know what will happen here, but this amount, we're just hoping that for the coming year or the winter of 2022, there might be something, but we are not sure yet. We also have a line for election. I think this year we are hoping to have elections. That's why we increased that line, as well as Provincial Association Conference. We also have a line for the VPACs initiative, and this year we put this line in case the VPACs has any idea that they want to implement. So they would just have somewhere to get money from. We also have a line for advocacy team, as well as the academic coordinator pay, the policy and research coordinator pay. Moving on, we have the Office of the Vice President, Finance and Administration. First of all, we have the salaries, which increased by CPI. We also have society funding, Chancellor Initiative, AVC funding, undergraduate funding, graduate funding, and the Student Emergency Fund. This line, we kind of tweaked it a little bit, and the funding lines, if like, for example, the AVC students need more money, they could always pick out from other lines, other funding lines that are not being used. So that's why we have some that are decreased here, and some that are increased also. We also have a line for sustainability initiative that the Vice President, Finance and Administration might have. We also have the pay for the wellness coordinator, which is the mental health and wellness coordinator. That line of budget also increased by CPI. And we have the operating budget for the mental health and wellness officer. It still remained the same. If they, for the campaigns that they'll be running over the year. Campus Trust Conference this year would not be holding, so there we kind of took that line out. Moving on, we have the Office of the Vice President Student Life, and we have the pay, and we have events. Events dropped this year because we got a recommendation from the Vice President Student Line that instead of having so much money in the events line, we could allocate that to like the Fox and Crow programming. If they have events that they host there, that could also be useful instead of everything being in the VP Students Life events. And sometimes we have a surplus and it's just sitting there. Also, we have AVC programming as well as graduate students programming, international students programming, first year event. When we had budget consultation, a lot of students were recommended that we increase the line for first year students because so that we could host more events for them since they're just new to school, and to help them just adjust into the semester or the school year. The lines of we also have campaigns and indigenous programming. So this is also another thing that was recommended by Jose. There has been no line for indigenous students in terms of like events that they want to host. That's why we started this line this year. I also reached out to someone from the Mawiomi Center, and she said it would be nice to have like different workshops for students to just come together, and also even in the Mawiomi Center. So that's where we got that number from. Also for the programming, we are hoping that things go back in person. That's why we are estimating a higher price than the previous year. So for society, we also have a line for society appreciation, society initiative and startup, as well as club mentorship programs and society banquets. All of this remained the same except for the society initiative and startup this is Jose's line for new clubs and society. We also have a line for COCA conference, but this year there will be no COCA conference. We have COCA annual fee, which is fixed at $402, and the game rental co-op, which is for the game rental co-op. This is just for repair, not to just for repair and maintenance. We also have the event and clubs coordinator. This position changed this year. Will be changing in the coming year, as we all know. And we have a new line for executive fund, which is $4,000. So the idea behind it was that in case any executive has any idea that they want to implement, instead of looking for where to get money from, they could just bring it to exec committee and say they want to use this amount for this initiative or that initiative. They could always draw funds from here. Moving on, we have council, students council, and the first is the pay of the deputy chair and the pay of the chair. This year it's decreasing as compared to last year, because last year, this academic year, our chair had a lot on their, put in a lot of hours. So this year, in the coming academic session, is going to be going back to the regular amount that it used to be, except there's any issue or they have to put in more hours. We also have the pay of the chief returning officer for 2 elections, which is remaining the same, and the total salary there. Also the operating expenses, we have the NIFT committee, which would be remaining the same, as well as the emergency election fund. We also have council orientation and retreats, and we have councilor development training. We also have volunteer appreciation, which would be also staying the same, and street team for volunteers, and welcome day. We didn't have anything last year, but we are hoping that things would would have something next year. We also have counselor honorarium for counselors, as well as printing and poll workers. We haven't had that last year, and I don't think we'll be having that this year because everything is done online. Moving on, we have the Fox and Crow. So we have the operating revenue of food sale. This is what we are budgeting that would get in the coming academic session. We have that for food sales and liquor sales. Also, we have Fox and Crow programs. We don't have any here. We put it, we'll see it when we go further. We also have sundry income for, like, if, for example, the grab and go plate, if someone doesn't bring it back, those type of little income that we get from it, as well as ATM. For the Fox and Crow, we also have the food cost. We added the food and cafe cost together, and we have the liquor cost of $13,000. We have advertising of $1,500 for maybe, like, we want to do something on Instagram or just to push the Fox and Crow. We have cable and telephone, which is remaining the same at $2,700. We have customer appreciation of $500. We have decorations for $250. We have equipment for $5,000. Interest for $5,500, and internet for $3,000, as well as licensing, which are all remaining the same. Maintenance. We also have materials and supplies, as well as office supplies. And here we have programming here for $10,000. We're increasing it, as we said before, that because nowadays we host like tap takeovers and all of those things. That's why we see an increase in that. We also have staff clothing, as well as staff training, which happens in September before the semester starts. We also have staff initiatives, incentives, as well as food training and menu creation. This is when they bring chefs to just try out different type of foods that will be serving at the Fox and Crow. We have a budget line for unexpected costs, as well as cleaning and sanitation of $2,000, as well as our equipment lease. Currently, we have big event security in case we tend to have that next year. We currently don't have any line for wages yet because we don't know how much that will be yet. No, sorry, we have the servers pay, as well as bartenders for $50,000, as well as daily security and the cook. Cooks mostly have more hours compared to servers and bartenders. That's why we have that amount. Moving on, we have services. The first one would be the handbook. We have revenue. We got a revenue of $1,563, and we are hoping to get the same in the coming academic session. We also have printing expenses of $5,542. And for the cadre, we didn't receive any revenue last year, last academic session, and we are not expecting to receive anything. That might change in the coming academic session. We have the wages for our editor-in-chief, as well, which increased by CPI, and also our managing editor, and also writer's bonus for people that come to volunteer or help out with the cadre, as well as website hosting fee for the websites that we are using for the cadre, as well as the membership, which are all remaining the same this coming year. We also have a line for materials and supplies for the cadre office, as well as posting. Let's say there's something want to engage with their readers or something along those lines, as well as research costs, bringing the total expenses to $13,845. We also have the yearbook. In the previous academic session, because we didn't know what was going to happen, we didn't have any line for that. But this year we have hired people for the yearbook. So we are hoping that we will have something this year. At sale, we are hoping to have $4,000 in that line, and printing $9,000, keeping it the same as the previous year. We also have a line for materials and support and supplies. We have the editor's salary, as well as the staff, yearbook staff. We also have the graduate editor as well. This year we don't have completion bonus, completion, because we have our administrative clerk who will be overseeing the yearbook. Previously, completion bonus was just to encourage the staff to bring in, submit their work early or things along those lines. But we have someone there that would be supervising it, so there will be no need for that. Moving on, we have the Panther Patrol. Last year we couldn't get sponsorship from the UPEI liquor, but this year we're hoping to get something from them, $3,000 from them, depending on how much they want to give out. We have wages for Cal, as well as fuel expenses of $2,000, and insurance, all of which are remaining the same. We have insurance, maintenance, and phone, government fees, uniforms, and parking fees, bringing the total expense to $19,960. Moving on, we have the bike co-op. So this cost is just for maybe like repair during the summer, not for purchasing new bikes, just for maintenance, and we have that to $8,000. We also have the food bank to $15,000. Last year, we operated the food bank throughout the year using e-transfers and all of those, and we still have some amounts left. We still didn't run over the amounts that we have. And this year we have it at $15,000. And we have a net loss of $28,168 for our services. Moving on, we have our operations budgets. Starting off, we have our full-time staff salary. This has a huge increase because we hired a new administrative clerk for our general manager who had to go on maternity leave. So we have a spike there. Also, Blue Cross and Campus Trust is for our full-time staff benefits, health benefits, as well as their courses. So they take courses during the academic, they have the opportunity to take courses during the academic year, which is going to remain the same. It's also going to increase because our courses also increase. We have pension for our full-time staff, as well as appreciation. We also have our investment, short-term contingency in case we have to pay for anything, maybe Lego or HR, anything along those lines. So that's where that investment is going to help us, and it's going to remain the same for the coming academic year. Also, we have donations that we make to charitable organizations off campus, which would be remaining the same of $500, as well as our on-campus donations, which would also remain the same at $8,500. Also foster parents plan, all of which should be remaining the same, as well as UPEI student support scholarship, which we usually give to students, as well as the JT Mickey Place Award, which has and will remain the same this academic year. For our operating expenses, we have our pay for our accounting system, Sage 50, which should be remaining the same this coming year, as well as our computer for repair or like servicing, which we do through the university. We also have copier service agreements, as well as mail, website support, office equipment, office phones, of $2,000, online resources, signage, special projects, sanitary printing, all of which would be remaining the same. We have cell phones for our office phones, as well as mail delivery. This year, we don't have our office assistants because we have an administrative clerk, so that's why we don't have any line for that. For our special COVID-19 project, which was the previous president who helped transition us, the new executive. This year, we are not having that. So that's why we have that line empty for the coming academic year. We also have employee appreciation, as well as SU staff appreciation, as well as CMHA conference. This year, we are not going to be having CMHA conference, and we didn't have any also in the past academic year. We also have our CMHA membership for our full-time staff. It's just similar to COCA, CASA, where all the full-time staff of different universities come together to meet. So that would also be remaining the same in the coming academic year. That's different. That's for mental health, and it's amicus that would be for full-time staffs that of different universities. We don't have any amicus conference in the coming year, and that's why that is we're not going to have any line for that. We also have insurance, as well as interest and bank charges. We have workers' compensation, as well as EI and CPP. And we also have vacation fee pay for our full-time staffs. Moving on, we have the audit fees, which would be remaining the same at $8,100, and legal fees of $3,000. Hopefully, we don't have to have any legal fees this year. Also, we have executive professional development for the training that the new executive members would be doing, as well as executive transition pay for the old executives that would be transitioning the new executive, which would be remaining the same. Also professional development, as well as courses for the executive members, which would total to $377,142. Also, we have our student center operation, and we have the salaries for our service worker, as well as their fringe benefits. We also have, and they will all be increasing by CPI, which is 2%, and we have our utility workers' salary, all would be increasing by 2%, as well as our cleaning supplies. We also have utilities for heat, electricity, water, service contracts, R&M general, which is our welding. We also have the property insurance, as well as equipment and capital reserve. This line, we are expecting everything to remain the same kind of rubbing off from what happened last year. We are also expecting it to remain the same this coming academic year. Lastly, our student fee. First one we have on the list is CASA for $4, CFS for $10, and the student union fees would be increasing by $2. We also have the student center operation of $40, as well as our transit pass, which would be increasing this year by $2. This year, we are also bringing back the WUSC fee for students that would be coming over to UPEI, as well as our Esperia would be going up by $1 this year, and which would total it to $303, and we are expecting 4,575 students in enrollment, which might change depending on how many students actually enroll for the academic year.
Okay.
So that is the proposed 2021/2022 budget.
Okay, so at this time, I will now open the floor for any counselor who wishes to discuss or has any feedback on the budget. I see Carrie.
Hello, everybody. There's lots to look at in this budget. So awesome job, Ayumi-kun, for putting this together. I know that's a lot of work. I have a couple of questions. So if we go back to the beginning of the budget, there is our loan from, like our COVID loan. And I was wondering, from what bank did that come from? And is there interest on that loan?
So it's the loan where like it was something like we borrow a certain amount and they give us like I don't know, but like if we like borrow $10,000, we got an extra money from it, so we kind of took advantage of it. Like we borrowed borrowing a certain amount, the government kind of covered a part of it for us, so we kind of took advantage of it. I don't know the exact bank that we used for that, but that's where that line came from. I don't know if that explains it.
Okay. So was that the government loan?
No, we just took it from the bank. No, it was kind of profitable to us. That's why we took advantage of it. The government one was the one before that. That's line 14. But this one was from a bank direct.
Yeah, right above it. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, there's no interest on that loan?
No, I don't think so. But no, I don't think so.
Okay. I guess my follow-up question to that is if we have to repay interest, I wonder if like, don't know a whole lot about budgets, to be honest. Do we have like a safety net for that to pay back interest loans?
Oh, no, we did not have to pay interest on it, because if we paid within a certain time, we didn't have to pay interest. That's why we took advantage of it. We had some money in reserve.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I didn't understand that at first. Thank you for clarifying. And my other question, I was just wondering, what charities does the student union donate to?
So the full-time staff donate. I don't know exactly which charities they donated to in the previous year, but I know they usually do one on campus, but for the one off campus, I'm not sure exactly, but I can get back to you about that.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. I didn't know that. And that's all my questions, but I really encourage other counselors to really like look at this budget and like really take it in and like take advantage of like being available or being able to ask a Ayumi-kun questions about it, because this is so important. Thank you.
Thanks for your questions, Carrie. I now will open the floor to Jose.
No, I just wanted to thank Yumi-kun and I guess the budget or funding committee, I think it's budget committee for taking my recommendations in account. I definitely feel like the next BPSL will take advantage of having the indigenous budget line for let's say indigenous day next year, and then also the executive funding. I think it's really smart because the BPSL traditionally does have the biggest funding pool to take from, and while that is great, sometimes it's also great to be able to allow the other executives to do their own big projects on campus, and for that you need money. So I just wanted to thank Yumi-kun and the budget committee for taking that into account. Yay!
I see Jennifer.
I just have a question regarding like the transit fee. I know that like that's a fee every year, but I was wondering if this could ever be a way that people could opt out of the transit fee because it is going up now to what, $72? Is that what it said? $62? And for the people that live on PEI, I know nobody is really using it from like that drive to school that have a car, but I know it's awesome for international students or people that are coming that don't have a vehicle. But I think it's a fee that maybe some people should be able to opt out of.
So yes, we looked into it during the summer to see how we could opt out from the fee, but it's really something that we deliberated, but it wasn't possible because of like the plan that we currently have with the T3 transit. We have definitely looked into it to see how we could opt out, but it wasn't possible.
Also, point of information on that, the bus fee specifically has been being looked into multiple years, just because we know that it is kind of like a point of contention that usually happens, I guess, and you can see it on social media. But the student union has looked into it multiple times, and it's just not something that can logistically be changed as of right now, basically.
Malik, I see that you'd like to add to this conversation as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ayumukan and Jose pretty much covered it all, but I just wanted to add one more detail that I guess deterred us from like wanting to even pursue it a little bit further is when the SU met with the Mike Cassidy, the like CEO of T3 Transit. Basically, he highlighted that one, we do have one of the like lowest transit rates for students across Canada, really. I think, don't quote me on it, but I think other university students pay like $180 either a year or a semester. We pay $60 a year. And also he said that the contract only goes up by at most $2 every year, and it didn't go up last year because of COVID. We kept it the same. And yeah, and we also ride for free in the summer. He doesn't charge us anything in the summer. So that was one of the reasons where we were like, it's just like, it's not something he was not willing to make an opt-out basis. So it's something that like kind of like healthcare, where it's like benefiting a large number of students. So we couldn't make it opt out, really, especially after the argument that we don't pay anything to ride the bus in the summer. I don't know. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is through you, but like the parking passes, so students are paying like, I don't know what it was, like $160, $180 for a parking pass, and they're getting charged this $62 transit fee. Like if they're not, like, you're using one or the other kind of, you're not really using both, so you shouldn't have to pay for both. Or they should make the parking passes take off the $62 off of it if you're not going to use the bus.
So just some information on that for you, Jennifer. The process, what it would look like for the UPEISU to move forward with that is unfortunately The executives are correct. There isn't going to be an opt-out process. It's been investigated a variety of times by the UPEISU over the last 5 years. What it would look like to make a change on that would be the elimination of the bus pass, at which point the UPEISU could put that forward in a referenda in a future election, but there unfortunately at the current time isn't a possibility of having an opt-out introduced. So just if moving forward, if you did want to continue having that conversation, it would probably look like the elimination of the bus pass fee, but that would also eliminate the use of the bus pass for students.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think that should stay in for students. So I think that's okay. I didn't know it was looked into before. So thank you, everyone.
Malik, I see you are next on the speakers list.
Am I? Just a sec. Oh, sorry. I left my hands up. Sorry.
Was there anyone else who wished to ask Ayumakin any questions about the budget? I see Jeremy.
Hi, great work on the budget. I had one question about the student fees, and perhaps I simply can't see it, but I believe another fee that students pay are the athletics and recreation fee. Perhaps the reason it's not up there is we don't control it, or is it, am I missing it?
Oh, it's not under the student union, it's under the university.
Okay. I was wondering, and again, I'm not sure if prior activity by the student union, but regardless of the fact that I'm an avid user of the gym, I know many people are not, and I don't know whether it has been advocated recently, the same proposition that was moved with the bus pass to make those fitness, athletics, and recreation fees optional for students, regardless of where they are. I know right now it's optional for students who are off island, but arguably people on the island, some of them may not be using it either. So I was wondering if that's been pursued. I would imagine it has been, but I was just curious whether that's been something that the student union has requested discussion on with the university before.
So Jeremy, as information on that, yes, it was discussed in conjunction with elimination of the transit fees, or opt out of the transit fees. Tolu wishes to speak to that. I will open the floor to Tolu.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Yes, they actually looked into elimination for that this semester, most especially, but at the same time, because it's not just so when they say athletic fee, it's not just for the gym. I know we own either 45 or 55% of the Bella Alliance Center. I can't remember how much percentage, but we have to pay some basic operational fees there. And the fee doesn't just only go to athletics in general, like doesn't just go to the gym, it goes to other aspects of athletes and maybe some other operations of the university. So that's why they said if you are not currently in PAI, technically, since they say athletic fee, that's the, should I say, default thought of everyone that it goes to the gym, but at the same time, it also goes to the operation of the building and things within that building. So people within PAI had to pay for it, basically. Yeah.
Would it be possible for me to follow up a question with that? What perhaps I'm making it more concerning than what it actually is, but it concerns me when you say that part of that fee isn't actually going to athletics or recreation, it's going to other things. Why isn't that being split off and labeled appropriately if all of that money isn't directly going towards just that?
So that's a good question. I haven't really seen the school's budget section by section, like when they present. I wasn't there when they presented it to Board of Governors, but I'm pretty sure like the basic fee, it goes to athletic operations. But at the same time, I don't know how they, split the bill or how things are made towards that, but I can check in with the VP Finance if you want more clarification to that. I don't really have much on like how the stuff goes.
Apologies, I know Carrie, you have your hand up. I'll make this the closing remark short, but it might be something that we want to pursue, considering that we always advocate for transparency and accountability when it comes to these sorts of things. It might be in the best interest of those we represent to try to be as transparent with where those fees are actually going as possible. So yes, I would recommend that.
Sure, I'll check in with the VP Finance and Administration of the university.
I see Carrie.
So as somebody who's been on the student union for 4 years, these same questions come up every single time the budget is tabled. These are good questions. These are important questions. I think that what we could do moving forward to make sure that students at large and new counselors understand about these fees is that we're not always like I like what you said, Jeremy. I wish there could be more of a breakdown of these fees. Regarding the gym fees, this isn't something the student union chooses to do. It's really more like it's really more to do with the university making sure that people get paid. And I agree, I think students should be more aware of where exactly their fees are going. And understand, historically, we have tried our very best to get the lowest prices for students. I wish that we could publish this somewhere. I don't know. Does anybody have any ideas? Do you know what I'm saying?
As someone who has also been around with the SU for a number of years, I know exactly what you're saying, Carrie. These are conversations that happen, and the UPEI goes to bat for them every time. This year is actually the first year that distance students were able to opt out of these fees. So historically, folks who were not in PEI, they were taking their program from a distance. For example, the Masters of Education program can be done remotely. Those folks were still required to pay the transit fees as well as the athletics fees, despite not being in PEI and not being able to use them. So I think there is definitely, should be an acknowledgement of progress this year with what we've seen. But I agree, there should be some way to summarize it. Does anyone have any other feedback on this?
I know we have our student union website, right? And it would be helpful if we could talk about, because I know the student union gets a lot of criticism from students who aren't always aware that of the history, and that's what's so frustrating about the student union is that every single year we have a new group of leadership. So it's the issues over the past few years are usually passed down to the next executive team. It's they inherit it, and so the progress isn't always obvious. So because I think that students are often think that the student union does not work for them, when in fact we really do our absolute best to always work for students. It's just the university as an institution, we are up against an institution that is actually not as for students as the student union is. But that's my opinion.
Excellent points, Carrie. And Malik, floor is yours.
Yeah, not to make everything go on a lot longer, but I just wanted to highlight this for maybe the counselors who are going to stay on council and also the incoming executive team, is that maybe I'm being pessimistic, but I feel like I'm basing it off of my experience working with the university and university admin. I don't think opt-outs are going to be a realistic thing, also based on the history that Ashley and Carrie cited. But what I do think might be a possible option and something that maybe the executive team can catch the momentum of and keep going is having a distance student option. So for students who, given the fact that COVID made online learning more of a thing and more of a thing that is recognized by universities, that students who are indeed a distance learner don't have to pay these things. Maybe that's something that's a conversation that I see could go further, but an opt-out conversation for every single student, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I see Jeremy.
I think that's a great point. I think we should advocate for distance students who are learning from a distance. However, I will add that it shouldn't be at the expense of students who are still here. If the compromise is that the opt-out option is given for distance learning students at a higher fee for domestic students, would we be willing to accept that? Which I could easily see them coming back with, because they'd have, depending, I don't know exactly what projections they'd be looking at if they were to expand their course offerings online in mass as well. But if it's a sizable amount of students that will be learning online compared to in person, then I could see them perhaps countering with that, which we would have to preemptively prepare for.
I see Adam.
Yes, thank you, Chair. But just back to Jeremy's point of transparency, I'd like to see perhaps some sort of documentation as to where the athletic fees go, because I think that would be useful to know for further discussion.
Okay, are there any other questions for UMakin on the budget as it has been presented? Seeing none, we will move on. Please, counselors, take the time to think if you have any questions and reach out to a UMakin in the coming weeks, because this budget will be up for approval at our next council meeting. We will now move on to the next point of our agenda for this evening, which is the VP Finance Hiring Board. As the hiring board is an HR procedure, we will be moving in camera to review those results. I see Malik.
I'd like to raise a motion to move in camera to review the hiring board results.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Jessica Perry. Malik, do you wish to speak to that motion?
No, thank you.
Does anyone wish to speak to that motion? Seeing no one, we will move to a vote. All in favor, all opposed, those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried. We will be moving in camera. Moving in camera means that we will be moving into a confidential meeting of council. The recording will be paused and all non-council members will be asked to leave the Zoom. What I'll have those do who leave the Zoom is once you leave, you can just go ahead and log back into the Zoom. You'll be placed in the waiting room, and once the in-camera session has ended, I will invite you back into the Zoom meeting. So at this time, I will ask all non-council members to leave the Zoom meeting, and you will be let back in when the in-council session has ended. I am now pausing the recording. The recording has been resumed and we have moved out of camera. I will admit everyone who's in the waiting room. Okay, at this time, I am ready to. Can you folks hear me? I seem to be having a microphone issue.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Malik. At this time, I can entertain a motion to approve the hiring board results as presented. I see Carrie.
I wish to move a motion to approve the hiring board recommendations.
Thank you very much. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Nellie, our arts rep. Carrie, did you wish to speak to that motion?
Nope.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak to that motion? Seeing no one, we will move to a vote. All in favor, all opposed, and those who wish to abstain. If you do wish to abstain, please indicate your name in the chat box. If you chose to not be present during the discussion, please abstain. That motion has carried. We will now move to the next item on our agenda for this evening, which is the supplies update. And for that, floor is yours, Yumikin.
Okay, I'll just quickly pull up the slip here. Sorry. Just a minute. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So this is just the supplies request form. So it's the new way that we are operating the supplies moving forward. First of all, we want students to know that this is a service for food emergency only, not a second grocery store. So students have to fill out this form with their student numbers, student email, and directory restriction. This form would be accessed by me alone, and will be accessed by just me. And we have different options for students to pick from. And students would have to send this form to the services at UPEI SU, the services email, which will be the service coordinator's email moving forward. But they would send this form to that email after they have filled it, and pickup would be done every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Student Union office. Also, if students are not able to make it on Tuesday and Thursday, they can always indicate in the email that they would not be able to make it and give me a time that they'll be able to make it, and I will just make accommodations for that. Students are eligible for 5 applications per semester, and since it's already the end of the semester, that would not be the case, but if the system moves forward in the coming semester, then yeah, we just want to put a limit so someone is not applying every week and kind of not allowing other people to apply. So this is, I just wanted to see what counselors thought, or if they have anything to add or subtract.
Any questions or feedback from council on this forum? I see Carrie.
Hello again. My question is, will students have the option to request a specific kind of food if they do want it? Or is everything only limited to this page? These options on this page?
Okay. Yes, students can request it in the email, indicating maybe what type of things that they need, and we could try and accommodate for that.
Okay. And I am wondering And I know Ayumikon, you've worked really hard on this. I do understand the constraints of this whole thing. I guess I'm still a little critical of students only being eligible to apply for this for 5 times per semester. Yeah, I am worried about that one because while there's our other food banks, and I know that we do have a limited budget for supplies, I don't want anyone to go hungry, I guess. Yeah. So
Yes.
I just wanted to voice that concern, and if any counselors agree with me on that, they can voice that. And I guess my final nitpicky thing um, is I was hoping we could change the language from feminine toiletries to just simply pads and tampons to make it gender neutral.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
I see Sam.
Carrie honestly covered most of my concerns with this as well. I was wondering at the top of the form, I think it says food emergency only. I was just wondering what the thought process is on that wording and kind of what the definition of a food emergency would be. Like, if that could deter people, if they're like, oh, well, I'm not like starving to death right now. This isn't a food emergency. And just kind of that wording.
The reason behind it is because students have been turning the food bank into like a second grocery store. When we say emergency, it's not really like starving. It's just like maybe you don't have money to go to the grocery store, or like you're trying to pay for something or something along those lines. We just want students because some students have and they still take advantage of this and kind of keeping the other students that really need it at a disadvantage. That's just the reason why we are encouraging just students in need, not like dead like need, just like you are really in need of the supplies, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
I see Carrie's added something in the chat. Ayumikan, did you want to answer to that?
Okay, just can't see that. Oh yeah, yeah, sure. It's something I could include in the form to help students with that.
I see Jose.
Yep. Just to give some context, I guess. Well, Yumikung is proposing this as a plan moving forward. The plan can still be changed, and I know that Yumikung is basically repeating this food bank situation with the UPSU executive team every week during executive meeting. So we appreciate everybody's feedback, but do know that probably this will be something that even the next executive team will be kind of overlooking and changing throughout the year, just because we're trying to make it so that the system is primarily used by students who are in some way in need of financial assistance with their food needs. But also we don't want to make it so that only a couple students can use it and the rest kind of are left out of the service. But yeah, thank you everybody for your suggestions, and I'm sure Yumikun will continue to revisit the idea as much as necessary.
I see Carrie.
Yes, one final thought. As I know what Jose just said is true. I know that this will be kind of put to task to the next VP Finance. But you know, we have Sam here who's also hearing all this. So my suggestion would be to really center the students like you're all trying to with this initiative who are exactly needing to use the service. So I was wondering if we could somehow contact students who do use this service and allow them to do feedback anonymously and provide like an incentive as well for their time. Just because it's really important to know and understand who we are serving and to really understand exactly what will be the most helpful for them. So those are my thoughts about that. Thank you.
Yeah, Carrie, thank you for that point. I was talking to Jose about this, and at the end of the semester, we're thinking of doing a services, like all the services in general, like just to get a review of how it works. For example, the Panther Patrol, if like students need like a new route, the supplies, everything like that. So definitely it'll be something that I would include into that survey as a whole, and maybe so students have the opportunity to give recommendations and feedback.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions for the VP Finance on this topic? Seeing none, we will move on. The next item on the agenda for this evening is co-op fees and international students. And for that, I'll open the floor to the president.
Thank you very much, Ashley. So can I get shit? Okay. So this might just be brief. Okay. So I'll just give a little context to this this section. So before I became president, this task got carried over to when I became president, and it was said that the arts rep, so Nelly, the arts rep, did move a motion that international students who access the core program pay the international student fee while accessing a full-time work term and not accessing any or not taking any courses during the semester. That this shouldn't be the reason, this shouldn't be an option, like students shouldn't have to pay international student fee while they're accessing full-time co-op or working full-time somewhere else and not having to be in school. So I would first of all appreciate Nelly for bringing this initiative down to council, and second of all, I appreciate the NIF committee, everyone that did research towards this response. I do appreciate the effort and the time that was put into this. So after our research and a couple of responses that we had, we went over to the co-op, the co-op Cooperative Education Office to ask for more clarifications towards why these fees are in place and why students are paying for it during this time. So, so students registered, this is just a brief summary of what she did, she explained. So students registered in co-op work terms at UPEI. So there are 4 co-op courses that students need to have to fully complete that co-op program. And they are considered full-time when they are in one course. So just briefing up, so they, while accessing co-op, you have 35 to 40 hours per week, and you get paid by your employer during this time of work term. One reason why, and this is the main aspect, one reason why students still pay, especially international students still pay that international student fee during co-op is because as international students, you are expected to maintain a full-time status throughout the period you are accessing post-secondary education. So you'll be eligible for a postgraduate work permit. So you are expected to have full-time status up until, I think there's an exception to your last semester. So like let's say, ideally your fourth your fourth year winter semester, you can be a part-time student, but throughout your first three years to your fourth year first semester, you should have full-time status, or else you won't be eligible for a postgraduate work permit. So this is one reason why students are paying this international fee, because when they are not taking courses at the university and they are accessing a work term, they are considered full-time students and they have to pay their full-time fees. I would still like to explain that even domestic students, that is Canadian students or out of province students who do not pay international fee, when they're accessing any co-op work term, they still pay those administrative fees. So more like what we said, the athletics fee, the transit bus, and other fees, CASA, CFS, student union fees, they still pay those administrative fee, but international students pay international student fee alongside those administrative fee. So that is one reason. Also, like I did mention, if you are not accessing if you are not taking any course with your full-time work term, you wouldn't be charged for any tuition. You just be charged for the administrative fee. And also it's in the policy of the international student fee that the Board of Governors always approve, that students accessing a full-time co-op fee, a full-time co-op work term is considered as a full-time student at UPEI. So welcome to any further questions on this. And okay, yeah.
I see, Carrie.
This is great. Great work on your part, Tulu. I'm wondering if we can publish this somewhere so like people, again, can access this information very easily so people know what's going on.
Yes, I can definitely check in with the communications manager and see where it will fit in on our website.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Are there any additional questions for the president on this topic? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you very much for your report, Tolu. The next item on the agenda for this evening is point 12, which is the addition of a second international student representative. Tolu, I believe that's also you?
Yes, but Adam will be handling this.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Adam, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. So on the 7th of February, Council voted in favor of the NIFT committee to look into an EDI strategy for council membership. So the NIFT committee has voted in favor of having a second international student representative on council. So just a point of information, Chair, I believe I would have to move that the council accepts this recommendation.
That is correct. So a motion would have to be put forward to have the council policy and bylaws reviewed to allow for this recommendation.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess I can start with that motion, if I may.
Of course.
So I move that the council accepts the recommendation of the NIFT committee to have a second international student representative on the UPEI-SU Council.
Did you want to combine that motion with the review of the bylaws, or did you want to make that a separate motion?
I can combine them. What would be the wording on that?
And that you recommend that governance committee review the policies and bylaws around council membership.
Okay. And I move that the governance committee reviews the policies and bylaws around council membership.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Tolu. Adam, did you wish to speak to that motion?
Yes, please. So the reasons that we are proposing this change is There's three main reasons. One is growth. The University of Prince Edward Island is growing in enrollment numbers and diversity, as we all know. The international student body is currently almost 30% of the university population. Second reason is diversity. We currently have students from 92 countries at UPEI. To further grasp the diversity of these 92 countries, having a second international student representative is one way to go about that. And then the third reason is there are not so many universities that have two international student representatives, but more universities across Canada have an EDI representative on their governing board. So for example, St. FX currently has an international student representative and a Black student representative. That is all.
Thank you, Adam. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this motion? I see Jeremy.
Yes, I'd love to ask, if I recall when it was first brought up to the council, it was first proposed as kind of looking at it with benchmarks. So once student population hits certain metrics, and you've provided some of those metrics, though percentages, not total population. My question is whether the NIF committee looked at all into incorporating those as well for the future, or whether we're still going to go kind of touch and go on when to add more international student representatives.
I'm not quite sure I understand the question, and if there's anyone else from the NIF committee that wants to jump in, feel free. But so what you're asking is if in the future, as our international population grows, are we just going to continue to add international representatives? Is that your question?
Yeah, so when it was first petitioned to the NIF committee, it was with the, I believe, unless I'm misremembering, as well looking into should it be at certain amounts of international students that we add more students, and if so, what should they be? And I was just wondering if the NIF committee examined that as they examined the include adding another international student, just for future facing purposes, kind of thing, like proper planning, I suppose.
Yeah, so
I do think the president, if she wishes to answer, or Adam could answer.
I do.
Yes,
No, go ahead.
go ahead, Adam.
I just had one quick point. We are supposed to have a representative faculty-wise for one for every 400 students, so that's why there's 3 science reps, etc. So that's my only point on that. So go ahead, Dolu.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. You did answer correctly. And while we were to Jeremy's question, we were performing. Sorry, I performed a jurisdictional scan based off of other universities, and I reached out to universities in CASA. Like Adam did mention, so far, universities don't have a ratio towards their international, or should I say, student body representation generally. So more of an international student rep or like the indigenous student rep. Now we have, like, for faculty representation, 400 to 1 student rep, but other universities, some don't have ratios towards faculty or student body, but I did check in to know how we can shape our ratios if we were going through that route. But so I met the NIFT committee, we decided this on Thursday evening. Then on Friday, I did speak with the executive team, and also we had Carrie at the office there who gave us some students' point of view. So we were considering this, but I couldn't, because it was after the meeting. After our meeting, I couldn't table this furthermore. So we're considering 750 per 1 rep on council. So currently, as at the last time I saw the enrollment number, which was in January, if I'm correct, of February, the first Board of Governors meeting this semester. We have 1,500 plus, I think 1,531 or so, roughly there about 1,500 plus students. So if we have, considering our numbers right now, if we have 750 to 1 international student rep, we would have 2 international student rep currently. I wanted to mention this to the governance committee, like I did mention, it was on Friday after I had met with NIFT, but this was what we discussed, and I said I was going to mention it to governance or NIFT the next time we meet, and yeah, thereabouts.
Thank you so much. That's perfect. Thank you.
Sorry, Ashley, okay, so question for discussion, I guess. Do council think we should move it to 750 per 1 international student rep?
So I was just going to ask a question on that, Tolu. Do you intend to have that be the ratio exclusively for the international student rep, or is that suggestion to reanalyze the current metrics that we use and have every position at 750 per representative?
So I intended that for just the international student rep, but we can further look into this. We can look into this further.
Okay, so as we are currently, we haven't motion tabled. The discussion is to that motion. So if you wish to make another motion to the effect of the 750 as the numerator, that could be done after the vote on the current motion.
Okay. Yeah, we can do it after.
Are there any other questions? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the current motion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. All in favor of approval of an additional international student rep and to have the feasibility of implementation investigated by governance committee? That motion has carried. So governance committee will be meeting and reviewing the policies and making the suggested adjustments. Tolu, did you wish to move a motion to the effect of the ratio for this position?
Yes, please.
Okay, floor is yours.
So I would like to move a motion that we have 750 to 1 international student rep on UPEI SU Council towards the governance committee for review towards the governance committee.
Great, thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Carrie. Tolu, did you want to speak to that motion?
I just want to say thank you to council for approving the first part, at least.
Great. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this motion? Seeing no one, we will move to a vote. All in favor of approval of the 750 student to 1 representative ratio for the international student representative? That motion has carried. We're now on to point 13 of our agenda, which is new business. So at this point, the floor is open to anyone with new business. I see Sam McLean.
Hello, folks. I just wanted to let you guys know Nicholas and myself are holding our counselor initiative this Tuesday as the business representatives. It's going to be at the Fox and Crow from 3 to 5. It's targeted towards business students, but it's open to anyone. And we have a great speaker for the event. We have Alan Hilberg, and he's going to be presenting on magnetic communication. So it'd be really great to see some of you guys come out. Sign-ups required beforehand just due to COVID protocols. So I'll send the sign-up link in the chat, and you can also find a little more information about the event on the UPEI SU Facebook page. And it would just be really nice to see some of you guys come out and support us in our initiative. Thank you.
And a big congratulations to the business reps for putting together such a great event. It's always great to see councillors using their initiative funding and hosting events for their constituents. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during new business this evening? I see Jose.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to ask something to council at large. It was a discussion that I had with the whole UPSU executive team that includes the full-time staff. And then I had it again just with the executive team that is conformed of just students. So me, Tulu, and Ayumi-kun and Malik. And it was just in terms of, I wanted some sort of guidance or I guess gauge how everybody feels in terms of event planning for the remainder of the semester. I know that a lot of the events that I've hosted throughout the fall or sometimes the semester were heavily in person, and that was because a lot of the more successful events that were getting student engagement were in person. The events that were happening and were fully online, like trivias or Jeopardies or small contests, they did have some engagement, but it was never as high. As we all know, the COVID situation in PI has been changing drastically the past couple of weeks. And for International Women's Day, I was still able to host like a relatively big and full in-person event and some online components. For the remainder of my role, I just wanted to see how everybody feels. I voiced to the executive team that I myself didn't feel particularly in favor of hosting a lot of in-person things. I thought that that wouldn't be what I would feel comfortable with, considering everything that's happening. But I just wanted to see what are council opinions, because there's opinions about it being safe as long as we follow the same regulations we've had, and the situation seems to be relatively under control. Announcements lately have been good for the most part, but there's also the opinion that we still could take further safety precautions by avoiding more in-person stuff. So I just wanted to see how council feels, because I wanted to take this decision with the executive team, but I also feel like it's important to hear what council feels as a whole in terms of whether it's safe to continue hosting a lot of in-person things with students, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Jose, would you like to do a straw poll on this? Have counselors vote to let you know which way they would prefer to go?
Yes, but also if anybody has any more voiced opinions, I would like to hear those. But yeah, I feel that poll would help. So I guess the poll would be whether we are in favor of continuing with lots of in-person things that get a lot of engagement, or not. And keep it more virtual, just in priority of COVID safety, I guess.
So voting in favor means you're in favor of continuing with in-person events, and voting as opposed would be preferring to continue with more virtual effects. I see Jeremy, floor is yours.
I mean, I suppose I want to raise my hand because I suppose I'm not in favor of either option. I kind of thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, Love and Sex Week had both online and in-person components, and I thought that was fantastic. I thought there was a mixture of events that and while I just thought it was a good mixture, because then there was some stuff that was online for people that might not have been comfortable with that. There was some stuff in person for people who really are craving that true face-to-face interaction. So with the restrictions being lifted, the circuit breaker at least, I would almost be on the position of why not try to pursue that same hybrid type of strategy where you offer something for both groups.
Yep. I guess to just reply to that very quickly, it is true that Love and Sex Week was a very mixed bag of in-person and online. and it worked. Back then, obviously, we didn't have those number of active cases and stuff. So that's what kind of determined me and kind of changed my mindset moving forward. But it is true that we just finished the circuit breaker and stuff, and we could potentially move forward with that. It was just that, yeah, I guess maybe I was freaking out a little bit too much. But yeah, I just, thank you, Jeremy, that's true. And it is, and during those events that happened during Love and Sex Week, if you do look at the numbers of the in-person versus online, you can tell the difference in engagement, and that's why I don't know if fully online would work, but I just wanted to see what everybody thought. And we have Sam too. Thank you, Jeremy.
Floor is yours.
So a lot of the SU events are the only in-person interactions a lot of these students are getting, especially like first-year students. It's their only real time to come to campus. So I think that's super important. I think a lot of students are enjoying it. But of course, regarding like COVID things that are happening, like taking a look at the cases and things like that and being aware of that. But I do think in-person should continue. And then also, I liked what Jeremy said about hybrid, because there's students that might be uncomfortable meeting in person, and there's of course the students that aren't on the island this year. But I think trying to keep as much in person as you can would be a good route for the rest of the semester.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Yeah, just to let everybody know, this was mostly me kind of just overthinking about these things. But it is true that we probably should continue with a format that adapts well to everybody's needs. And I know that at least my anxiety over this will kind of mellow down next week that I'm getting my COVID vaccine. But I just wanted to put that out because I wanted to take this decision as a group and not mainly based on what the executive team thought, if that makes sense. So nobody has anything else to say. I think that it's pretty clear what we must continue to do.
And I have shared the poll results. 14 counselors voted in favor of continuing majority in-person events, 2 voted for majority virtual, and 1 vote wished to abstain, but that was just a straw poll, so it isn't an official recorded vote of council.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Is there anyone else who wishes to bring forward new business?
Hey Ashley, can I say something?
Of course.
Yeah, hi everyone. I just want to let everyone know that next Friday, we will be doing a dodgeball tournament with the Campus Life Lounge. You can go on to our Facebook page. It's just Campus UPEI Campus Life, and on there you can find a place to sign up through our Eventbrite page. And it's I think it's like $20 a team to sign up, and all the proceeds are going to the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Charlottetown. So yeah.
Great. Is there anyone else who wishes to bring forward any new business? Seeing none, we will move on. Last point on our agenda is adjournment. So at this time, I welcome a motion for adjournment. I see Tulu.
I'd like to raise a motion for the council meeting to be adjourned for today.
Thank you for your motion. Can I have a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Carrie. Tolu, did you wish to speak to that motion?
I would just like to say thank you to everyone that attended today's meeting. It was a lovely time speaking and presenting to you all.
Great. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this motion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. All in favor of adjourning this meeting, all opposed, those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried, and we are now officially adjourned at 8:43 p.m. Thank you very much for everyone who is here this evening, and I wish you all a happy and safe week.
Thanks, Ashley. Have a good night.